South Sudan is the youngest nation in the world. After 2 decades of civil war against the North, the people of South Sudan won their hard-fought independence in 2011. The world realized her potential when the United Nations unanimously granted the new nation membership. Only 2 years after independence, the people of South Sudan are once again engulfed in another conflict, one which pits brother against brother and comrades against comrades. The world swiftly labeled it as a tribal conflict between the Dinka and the Nuer. However, this is a limited view of a very complex and complicated situation. Of course, there are some deep wounds between the tribal lines, which were never reconciled during the guerrilla movement. These wounds trace back to the time of the guerrilla movement of the SPLA, now the SPLM. But the realization of the independent South Sudan and the Jubilee on 9th July 2011 patched them up, only to come undone under the failed leadership of General Salva Kiir Mayardit. A subjective analysis of the events that led to this crisis strongly indicates that the current crisis in South Sudan is a response to a growing authoritarian rule by General Salva Kiir, rather than a black or white tribal conflict between the Nuer and the Dinka. It is important to stress this fact that this is a political struggle between two powerful men, Dr. Riek Machar and General Salva Kiir Mayardit. Two men with contrasting visions. The fact of the matter is Salva ought to be held accountable for sparking a crisis which led to the deaths of innocent civilians. The two leaders fought side by side against Sudan, along with the late Dr. John Garang. Machar had split from the SPLA and formed a faction by the name of SPLA Nasser in 1991. He claimed that Garang had run or was running the SPLA as though it were his own and his only. That claim, that disagreement, led to the offensive by Machar in what is today known as the Bor Massacre. Machar admitted that to have ordered the raid on Bor. However, he later apologized publicly to the Dinka community and to Garang's widow, Madam Nyandeng Damavir. Salva Kiir, however, a man of grudge and limited political tolerance, remembers this as if it were yesterday. After Machar publicly criticized him about his leadership on the 29th July 2013, he said this, that whoever does not want to be under the leadership of somebody can go and establish his or her own party. Certainly, Machar has political ambitions, and who's to say otherwise? But Machar is aware that he cannot win his battle in the field. One can see Kiir's defensive here, and one can predict another conflict was on the way as early as the summer of 2013. Once again, Kiir was running and is running the party as his own, as did Garang, but Machar knew well that his chances of beating Kiir for the party's leadership lies in democratizing of the party, which Kiir is tightening his grip on. Machar and other officials, senior officials in the SPLM, who disagree with Kiir's leadership went to the media to voice a dissident and challenge Chairman Kiir's leadership and the SPLM vision. Kiir, poised to keep his position as chairman, used his so-called constitution to sack the entire cabinet, including his deputy, Machar. The dissident kept calm and agreed on changing the party's leadership via democratic means. The next appearance pushed was the last straw on the camel's back, the alleged coup I'm talking about. When the National Legislative Council convened, it brought the political threat to the back door, and Kiir was not going to tolerate that. He attempted to disarm Machar's security guards, and that was when fighting erupted. The next day, he showed up on state television and declared, wearing his military uniform, that there was an attempt coup which his government has squashed. Ladies and gentlemen, we know now that this is a lie. The US even said that there is no real evidence to prove that there was a coup. The IGAD, the UN, know that this is indeed fabricated. So the general fabricated a coup because this would give him legal grounds to purge his political dissidents in order for him to maintain his power. And he sided with the right man to do so, Yoweri Museveni, the president of Uganda. That day, he let his guards loose in the capital, Juba, and started to massacre Nuer civilians. Even Al Jazeera was showed on the street civilians unarmed being shot dead. Now the armed rebellion is underway, and Kiir insists that he's not going to release the political detainees. A simple request by Machar in order for us to go forward and start peace talks. The world called on Kiir to release the detainees so that we can go forward with the same talk. Yet, he keeps silent and continue on the offensive with his partner, his counterpart, Museveni. The fact of the matter is, this is not a tribal conflict between Nuer and Dinka. It is about the growing authoritarian rule in East Africa, bolstered by the dictator Yoweri Museveni, and he's handling Kiir as if he were his advisor. We, the people of South Sudan, need General Salva Kiir to step down, release the political detainees so that we can go forward and start our peace talks and start the reconciliation process and start a democratic process. And let me be clear, South Sudan did not fight for 20 years to have a dictator. We fought for democracy. And the people of South Sudan have made that clear when they voted 90%, 98% to secede from Sudan, a country which is still under a dictatorship control, a dictatorship rule. We want Salva Kiir to step down so that South Sudan can go ahead with dialogue. Thank you.